I think that in the 5th chapter of Matthew, we have read the first third of the Sermon on the Mount, and we have seen how important the law is to Jesus. Sometimes when we think about Jesus, we think about many, many wonderful things, but we seldom think about this whole idea of the law. Somehow it seems that Jesus and the law don't seem to go together. And yet, throughout his ministry, it was important for Jesus to emphasize, and even in his last day, it was important for him to emphasize to his followers that the law is a good thing. The law is a guide. The law holds our hands and points us in the right direction. And it is remindful of passages in the Psalm which say, the law is a guide. It leads me in the path where I am supposed to go. And I treasure it. I hold it in my heart. We've talked about these things in the last couple of sessions. I was about to say the last couple of weeks, but we have been a little bit sparse here. Today, I want us to look into the 6th chapter of Matthew. And what we're going to find there is Jesus telling people how not to practice their religion. I've entitled the sermon, True Religion. Well, not that original, but a good title nonetheless. Let's read Matthew 6, verse 1. And the entire text takes us all the way through verse 18. Verse 1. Beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them. For then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Well, I think that when Jesus has finished this discussion, he will have said at least 3 things. That's the Baptist preacher's way of approaching it anyway, isn't it? First, he's going to say giving is selfless. He is going to tell us that praying is genuine, and he is going to say that fasting is something private. Well, all of them are selfless, all of them are genuine, and all of them are private, as we will see. Verses 2, 3, and 4. Jesus, this is just one illustration, and I don't know where all the lists come from. This happened to be just some illustrations that Jesus was giving when he says, do not practice your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them. Well, if you do that, then the only reward is you're going to be seen by them. You don't get any reward from God. You don't get any credit from God for making a show of your religion. True religion, Jesus is saying, is selfless, it is genuine, it is private. Giving to the needy. When you give to the needy, this is verse 2. We're just continuing in chapter 6. Matthew 6, this is verse 2. When you give to the needy, do not sound the trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may be praised by others. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. The reward is what? They're seen by others. And other people say, oh my, what a generous soul he is. And they say so correctly. There's nothing wrong with giving to the needy. And if you want to make a show of it, just understand, that's not the way true religion works. You make a show of it, and it's almost as if your religion is selfish rather than selfless. Well, truly I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be... I got to turn the page here. Whoops. Hey. page didn't want to turn. Maybe in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. The first thing that I notice when I read this passage, always nowadays is the first thing that I notice, is that giving to the needy is an assumption. When you give to the needy. It's not, if you decide someday to give to the needy. This was something that was expected. These people were expected to give to the needy. Oh, that's Old Testament law, and it's brought forward. This is something that Jesus expects his followers to do. When you give to the needy. Look, quite frankly, I've got money to buy cake. Yeah, bread or cake, either way. I can buy fruits, I can buy nuts, I can buy Chick-fil-A. I can get some new highly efficient gutters on my house if I want to. I splurge on things sometimes. I'm taking a little trip to Miami in 2 or 3 weeks. Going to be out one Sunday in July, or I guess the last of June. So when I see someone who looks homeless, I feel an urge to help. They don't ask for much, seriously. These guys, they don't care. They don't ask for much. They're always going to be thankful. They're going to be grateful. Wherever you are. And in Dallas, Texas, there are so many opportunities just to help people on the side of the highway. If you have a chance, put some money in your, I'm not talking about change, I'm talking about put some real money, some folding money in your car so that you'll have some available maybe to give to some of these folks who need. They need. I don't care what the situation is. I don't even care what, put them out there. They have need. They have need. Jesus has already told his hearers just a few minutes ago, that might be 10 days ago for us, but it's only a few minutes ago in this sermon, give to the one who asks you and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. That's in Matthew 5, verse 42. Just a little bit before this passage is spoken. You know what? These people that need, they do need. They may not even need money. Maybe they need something else. But it's not going to hurt us, is it? To dig a little bit and to give. To give. Maybe it's because I remember the story of Jesus that Jesus told about the rich man and Lazarus. This is a story that is told in the 16th chapter of Luke. Listen to this. The rich man was not mean to the beggar, but there was a beggar who sat out in front of his house. I don't know how far away he was. Far enough away that the man didn't have to deal with him, and he just ignored him every day. He wasn't mean to him. He didn't call the sheriff. He didn't run the man off. He just ignored him. He just ignored him as if he is not there. He passed him by. And in his self-absorbed manner, he walked by that poor beggar every day. No doubt looking dapper in his business suit. I don't even know how much an expensive suit costs nowadays. But he's got a fine carrying case there. He's certainly fastidious on his way to his office. Maybe a bit weary on the way back. But every day he walked back and forth and passed that poor man outside the gate. The dogs attended to the man's sores. The dogs licked his sores. He had nothing. The compiler of Proverbs included this one, which I think is appropriate. Whoever is generous to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will repay him for his deed. Yeah, we are told to be imitators of Christ, right? We are told to imitate Christ. Here's one way that we can make that happen. If you were in need, or when you are in need, if you ever have been in need, if you ever should be in need, would you want someone to help you? Instead of judging these people, ask yourself the question, whenever you see the needy, I would leave this moment with this thought from the 25th chapter of Matthew. Listen, it starts with verse 35. Jesus is talking to people who are listening to him. I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. And the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger, invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick and in prison and go to visit you? And the king will reply, truly, I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. Always remember that those in need are Jesus in disguise. That last sentence has quotation marks around it. That means somebody else said it and I liked it. That having been said, Jesus continued to his main point, and the point is this. We give to the needy in order to be the salt of the earth and to bring light to the world. We do it not to bring attention to ourselves, but to bring attention to God. The Pharisees evidently had this disgusting habit of making a big show of every gift that they gave. They would take a silver coin, and they would walk over to the trumpet, the horn-shaped receptacle, and they would spin the coin in such a way that it would go around and around and around, make a lot of noise, and people would turn around and look. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful gift that person just gave. Well, Jesus warned his followers about their treatment of the law. I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven. That one we've looked at in chapter 5. You remember it. Now he is going to show them how to be witnesses for God, not for self, not to bring attention to self, but to bring attention to God. When you pray, you must not be like the hypocrites. They love to stand and pray in the synagogues and at the street corners that they may be seen by others. Truly I say to you, you know what's coming next, don't you? They have received their reward. What is the reward? The reward is that they have been seen by others. And that beautiful flowery prayer has been heard, and people have said, my, what a wonderful prayer he prays. When you pray, he says, go into your room and shut the door and pray to your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. You see, giving is done selflessly, not selfishly. We give not to gain praise. We give to earn the smile of God. We pray in private. We don't pray to be heard. We pray to reach the ear of God. When you pray, don't heap up empty phrases like the Gentiles do, for they think they're going to be heard for their many words. But listen, don't be like them. Don't be like these people. For your Father knows what you need before you ask Him. We're reading verses 5, 6, 7, and 8 there about praying. About praying. Praying is to be done between you and God. Now that does not mean that giving to gain attention is a bad thing. It just means it's not a worshipful thing. It's not religion. That doesn't mean that public prayer is wrong. It's not wrong. It's right. When we come together, we should pray together. We can pray, but when we are talking to God, we should pray in private. Jesus always prayed privately. Remember David, how he would write these lovely psalms? He always went to some place apart in order to do that and in order to pour his heart out to God. Well, in these last two verses, verses 16 and 18, and I know that we skipped verses 9 through 13 because we're going to talk about them next time. Yeah. I'm going to have to admit, I don't know much about fasting. Some of you probably do. I'm not one who has ever fasted. Certainly not purposefully and not religiously. But in that day, the Jews did fast. They had fasts. And there are many people around the world still who fast. There are many Christians, many Christians who fast as a part of their religious experience. Goodness gracious, I think that when I was a boy, there was a certain anti-Roman Catholic sentiment in the churches where I grew up, and so I think the idea of celebrating Lent, for instance, was that's a little too Catholic. I heard someone say when I prayed a prayer publicly for a certain occasion, and I just used St. Francis of Assisi's prayer, Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. And someone told me that they had been told that that prayer should not be done by Protestants because it's too Catholic. Well, isn't that something? I don't not fast because it's too Catholic. I just never have done it. I've never been taught to do it. And maybe it's something that I should do in my old age. If, when I get old, I'll think about that. By the way, I'll be entering my 80th year next week. Today is May the 29th. This is Saturday. And my birthday is Tuesday. Exciting stuff, huh? Well, when you fast, do not look gloomy like the hypocrites. They disfigure their faces that their fasting may be seen by others. Yeah, they would put makeup on their face so that they would look sadder than they actually were. I don't know exactly how they do that because there's another thing I don't do, and that is use makeup. I could probably stand to use some, I guess. But here's what Jesus says about those folks who want to paint up their faces and look so sad. Well, let's see if we can look sad. What's the matter? What's the matter, Tim? I'm just not feeling very good today because I'm fasting. I'm fasting. I had a man tell me one time I was at the Woodland Baptist Church in Houston, and I had just become the associate pastor there in charge of the youth. That's the title they gave me. Associate pastor in charge of the youth. And later I understood and visitation. So, youth and visitation, that's what I did. There was a man who came to me in the first day in the receiving line. He shook my hand and he told me his name. I don't remember it, but he did say, "I'm the chiefest of sinners." And I don't know. Maybe I'm a cynic, but I thought, I don't think that you're being genuine when you say that. We don't have to tell somebody else, "I'm the chiefest of sinners." We all know that we are all sinners. Jesus said, when you are fasting, when you are praying, when you are giving, whatever it is, whatever your activity of worship may be, you make that an activity between you and God. Between you and God. When you fast, anoint your head, wash your face, so that your fasting may not be seen by others, but by your Father who is in secret. What about these who disfigure their faces? What does Jesus say about them? Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. What's the reward? You know. Other people saw you. Your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Giving is selfless. Praying is private. Fasting is something that you do between you and God. All parts of worship are activities that take place between you and God. The Pharisees didn't understand that. You know what I think? I think the Pharisees didn't understand the spirit of the law, and I don't think they even understood the purpose of the law. I think we'll talk about that next time.